Hello, storytellers. It's Storytelling Ron, and I want to show you how to make characters in For the Lord RPG. Very simple. Here are the different characters that you can choose from, and you can expand it. I'll go into that later. Let's just get to it. So you will assign these a +5, a +3, a +1, a 0, a -1, and a -2 to the 6 traits or ability scores in D&D. And my traits are these guys right here: aggression, awareness, secrecy, spirit, intellect, and society. Aggression, it's for fighting. It's your melee. It gives you the bonus to attacks. Awareness is for aiming, perception, noticing things. Opposes secrecy, which I'll get to, and it adds to your defense. A normal defense is 12, but you can add your awareness to it because you're just more aware and you can dodge. And so your 12 will go up a little higher. Sorry, I always touch my face. Secrecy. That is, what I feel is that is your thieving, your picklocking, your hiding, your stealth. Why do I have that instead of like dexterity? Because magicians, they're all different makes and kinds, but they all do like a picklocking class. Secrecy is just your desire to do those things. Like your desire for the sneaky, the criminal, the whatever that. So that's the way I feel thieves are, or thieves or scouts or guides or whatever. They're focused on that, and so that's their desire to be that way. Whereas most of us are oblivious to that and don't care about that. Spirit is your wisdom, your courage, your faith points to bless and heal and do protections for people. And intellect, that's for reading, clues, history, understanding things around, and crafting. You can go into crafting things and you just use your intellect for that. Society is obviously charm, deception, persuasion, performance, wit, and all that. Okay, and those are the 6 things. And when you pick a character, you basically give the main +5, +3 to the main traits that these say for each of those. Then you have your vitality, and it starts off with either a 4 or a 6. Now 6 is for the warrior trained types, and 4 is for the dudes that are clergy or whatever. And then there's a 3 here for the women. That's right, women are. Sorry, but men are crazy tough, and I fight, and I've seen the difference. There's a difference, and women have other qualities that I'll show you here in a sec. So they start with a 3, and they can add their aggression, and they roll a D4. So each time you want to upgrade your vitality, which is hit points, for women it's D4, and for men it's D6. And there's no rerolls. If you roll a 1, that's what you get. We're almost done making a character, and I'm going to show you a different way of making a character towards the end of the video, but I'm just trying to do the mechanics right now. So okay, so the traits, you just pick. So you pick, what do you want to be? A warrior? You want to be a cleric? You want to be a sort of more roguey secret guy? And you just assign the traits here how you feel. Then you pick out your gear, and we're almost done, to be honest. I can get into the spirit and faith points in another video, but that's the blessings, the heal, and protections, and all that. So then you're going to have this chart here where you kind of let them see it, and then they can pick out their weapon, their armor type. Oops, that's on this page here. The armor list here, and then base, and then they can pick out a heavy stuff for heavy, medium, and light. And everyone can carry 2 heavy, 3 medium, and 4 light. Now, if you carry more, you're at just -D4 for all your rolls. Or they can always say, I carry this, but I'll drop it if anything happens. But this is the basic stuff. And it kind of it's based on what does it do for you? Does it help with your healing? Does it help with your social? Does it help with your vision? Does it help with your, it kind of gives you a little what is it when you use it? What is it for? Thieves' tools for secrecy, sewing kit for social or for crafting as well, for repairs. Sack of salt for food. So if you make, for cooking at night, like when they're camping, this can add like a roll to cooking, and give them a +D4. I give out +D4s a lot. Like if they have something, then they use it in that cooking, then they get a +D4. And obviously, if you make a really good meal, then you can give everybody a +D4 because they've had a really good meal, and they get a +D4 inspired point. So I keep it very loosey goosey like that. That's it. And the way you do the gear for the game is you just talk to them. Like, what do you think? Your character rich? Are they poor? Do you think they'd have that? You know, and that's kind of how you do it. How do you feel the character is going to play? Don't try to do it like, you know, min-maxing, trying to figure out the numbers and all that. Okay, and then they write that down in here in the character sheet. You know, how many, you know, up to 2 gear or heavy, up to three medium, and 4 light. And then it's based on it's not just based on the weight, it's based on how it's carried. Like a longbow is gonna, I'm sorry, I got my nose a little cold here in the cold LA of 50 degrees. A longbow is gonna be a heavy, not because it's heavy, but because it's just cumbersome. You know, you got, it takes up a lot of space, and you got to deal with. I'm gonna blow my nose. Let me pause while I blow my nose real quick. Sorry about that. I mean, we're done. That's how you make a character in For the Little RPG. Now, so when you pick your armor, by the way, defense is 12 plus your awareness if you got a shield and helm. So awareness, let's just say everything awareness. Let's say you have awareness of +2, you have a shield of +2, and the greater helm +2. So that's 6. So 6 plus 12 is 18. So you have a defense of 18. But so if you get hit, your armor then, whatever you're wearing, will absorb some of that damage. So if they have a battle axe and they give you, you know, D10 and they give you 10, your armor, they say you're wearing plate mail and you roll a D10, you take 0. I think for a battle axe though versus plate, yeah, you would take 1, a minimum of 1, GM's discretion. And I think a battle axe, you know, is going to give you a 1. The GM discretion. In other words, if a bird pecked you and it does 1 damage, and then you roll your plate armor D10 and you obviously roll a 10, that bird is not going to do a minimum of 1 damage. It's going to do 0. So that's how the GM decides that. There's a rule error, but you can do it that way. Vitality is the total, and then you also can get wounds, just so you know. So if you get a nat 20, you can get a critical wound. But anyway, I'll go into that another thing. So there is a trade skill here, and I do have it for the gear, but that's based on role playing. And then if you want to try to get one of these or replace the one you have, then you got to kind of role play, you know, your trade skill versus the merchant or blacksmith's trade skill to see if you can get the item or not at that price or at a good price, or you know how to fix your trade skill. That's just kind of like how much gold you have. That's it. So what I want to talk about is, and you can make a character for your aunt, your grandma, and just give them that character. And I would even write it out on a sheet without even giving them this. Just give them the basics, you know. And I'm gonna for the starter kit and the Kickstarter, I will have some out that you can print out that are not even going to have this, but they're going to be much simpler, so that if you want to just give it to family members and they can play those characters. And another thing about faith, abilities, and skills. Faith is like the clerics and the nuns choosing heal, bless, repel, rebuke, preach, and they can write them here. Abilities and skills. Abilities are just like in other games, talents, feats, whatever. And I don't really have any listed here except for the women's touch, which is a bunch of abilities that a woman can pick from, like, you know, cleaning, making herself here. Let me go to it. Down here, a woman's touch is these abilities right here. These are faith and blessings, like a paladin. For a paladin right here. But these ones are for a woman's touch, and any woman can pick some of these for her character, and you can give them, like the patron lady can get a couple of these early on, or right at the beginning. Cleaning, details and comeliness, right, about herself. Distraction, subtle, feigning, overt, mothering, pans and more, using a pan for self-defense. The nun, especially for the nun. So these are like extra talents or abilities that they can pick at early on, 1 or 2, and then when they get experience points called glory points, you can buy more and you can upgrade these. But the main thing about skills and abilities is I don't have a list. You know, we can do that later as a supplement, as an option, but I don't have a list of abilities and skills because I want you and the players to develop them when you play. Okay, so an example, there's a patron lady who had a cart with a donkey, and she got the idea of grabbing there was a big brute, kind of ogre brute next to her cart, looking in at the cart, and she was standing there, and then the clerics, and she was distracting him. And then the cleric came up with a stone and hit him on the head, but only did a little damage. And she said, "Give me the stone," and she dropped it on him from the top of the cart, and did more damage. And she rolled a nat 20 and I think a 6, on the bonus die that I let her have because I thought it was a good idea. That became a skill. So now she does drop rock off cart plus D4, to hit. So you develop in the game, you can start developing skills. If the GM feels like you did something spectacular, he can say, wow, that can be a skill now if you want. And then you can write it down. Or if you, playing the game, like to do something over and over and over, then you can say, can I turn this into a skill? As I use this. Or you can just say, I want to start repairing my own armor. Okay, so start doing smithing. But you got to role play it out too. Like, where do you get, you got to go buy some smithing tools. Then you can start doing smithing. And when I'm in town, and when we planted the church, I'm going to go to the local smith and learn how to do that. Okay, try to convince him that you want to learn from him. And then if he rolls successfully, okay, you now have smithing tool plus D4, or when they hit. And usually in between missions, they'll plant a church and then they'll get glory points. And then that's when they spend them. And then that's how and then we have a time there where when they spend those glory points to upgrade things, we discuss that. Like, how did that, play out? So that's how I want to do these skills. And like, you can become a bard. You just explain it. You find someone, maybe, there's a minstrel in town, you get a lute, you discuss it, you role play it. Okay. So here's my long-winded rant here now. I don't like it as a GM, maybe players love this and they should come up with ideas when they come to the table. If they're like, I'm talking about experienced players, not like new players. They wouldn't know to do this. But experienced players, when they come up with backgrounds and then they want to tell me those backgrounds, I kind of get a little, not really focus on it. And I noticed that too when players tell each other that, it's a bit much and long-winded. But now here's my point. I should make another video on this, and I think I will. Have them role play it out. If they have a long-winded background that they've decided for this character, which is fine. But the thing is, I don't want them to tell me. I want them to role play it out. I want them to reveal it, discover it through their character talking to the other characters. That's how you reveal your background. You don't reveal it by, okay, hi, my name is Joe. My character is a barbarian, and I do this and that, and I'm really, don't do intros like that. I'm against them. I watch a lot of them, and I don't like when they do that. Role play it. Have them sitting around at the tavern, and say things about themselves, or have, encourage them. Like, you all are in a tavern drinking and having ale, and before, I'm doing like a traditional D&D one as opposed to missionaries, maybe. Anyway, and you all start thinking about your past or where you've come from. So I want you all to just start talking about that. Go. Okay, so you let them role play out their backgrounds. You don't have them sit there and tell each other. Or I am not allowing people now, like players, to come and tell me beforehand or send me 2 to 7 pages of document to read their background. You have to role play it. You have to talk about it in the game whenever, and I'll give them opportunities to do that as well. Okay, so that's a extra veteran thing there. But the point being that this is very simple and quick to make a character. And as a GM, you can quickly make a character for your aunt or your uncle or your grandma who comes and joins the little family game, or for the kiddies. It's very simple to do. Okay, so just wanted to get that across about For the Lord RPG. Very quick and easy to make a character that anyone can start playing, and you can just make it for them if you have to. And I can literally make a character by just typing it out without even looking at this. Once you kind of know all the stuff. All right, that's it. Making a character. Very simple, very easy.